Hello, everybody. My name is Laura Mendoza. I am an academic consultant for National Geographic Learning, and we are finishing today the last of three um, workshops regarding very interesting topics. The first workshop was about, let me see, 1 second, there's a message in our dashboard. Is Okay, so now I think we're good. We're seeing each other. So I was telling you this is the last of three workshops where we were talking about very interesting topics. The first workshop was about WebQuest, a tool that is very useful to make a different kind of classroom. Then our second workshop was about fostering learner autonomy and kind of chaining it with what we were talking about WebQuest. And today we're going to see a very, very important workshop regarding the use of technology in classroom. And it's called Shaping Global Citizens, because I am convinced that the use of technology is something else, something more that goes more beyond only using the technology. We are actually shaping global citizens. One of the questions we ask ourselves as teachers is how can we contribute to the change of the educational system? How can we engage and motivate our students to create better results, a better class environment? So the answer is we have to embrace the challenge of teaching with technology and teaching a new generation of students that are absolutely used to technology. So our challenge, our adventure is going to be teaching new generation of students that are called millennials and Generation Z by experts in marketing, targeting, marketing description, and consumer insights. They call them that. But it's very important to understand how to teach these type of students, and they learn with technology. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start with our workshop regarding our Shaping Global Citizens. Okay, so everybody is watching my screen, and we're going to start talking about, I'm sorry. So does anybody know what this is? This is one of the most famous games that your students are playing these days. This is Pokemon Go. Some people see Pokemon Go as a really bad thing because students are running around. I just saw today 3 kids running around a park chasing Pokemons. And parents see it as a very complicated thing because the kids just want to keep playing and playing and playing and playing. So I don't think that it should be such trouble. For me, this is one of the latest English teaching tools that you can find. Why is that? Why do you think we have Pokemon Go as an English teaching tool? Well, if you know the game, you know that the game is about chasing some animals and catching them. But in order to catch those animals, you need to follow some instructions. there are instructions, written instructions that tell you what to do in each phase of the game and where to find your Pokemons. And then when you catch a Pokemon, it describes the little animal that looks like a frog or like a little dog, I don't know, Pikachu there. And you see the description of the Pokemon. So talking like academics, as teachers, what do we see when we play Pokemon? We see a set of written instructions, which they are going to exercise our reading comprehension skills. And we're going to see, obviously, the description, how to describe objects, how to describe animals, how to describe people. It's a great practice to make the students describe the Pokemon, for example. Let them know how to describe the Pokemon in English. And of course, if you're using this tool as an English teaching tool, you can use prepositions, directions, instructions to help the students practice these abilities through the game. So you see, it's not only about games and technology, it's about what can we get from the content that technology provides. Probably you can see it as something very simple, something that's not useful, but if you look again, if you take a closer look, you're going to find this. You're going to find a very important English teaching tool. So let's talk about Millennials and Generation Z. These are the kids that were born between 1980 and more or less 2000. Are you listening correctly? Is the volume okay? I'm going to put my headphones on because I don't know if you're listening correctly. So Millennials and Generation Z are those students that are digital natives and tech savvy. What does that mean? This generation was born into digital. They were born to technology. They're used to technology. We have seen kids that have, I don't know, that are 3 or 4 years old doing exactly that, playing with technology, and it's natural for them. We see them flip pages in an iPad. We see them playing, and they are perfectly comfortable. Not as we are. We are called digital immigrants because we are working with things that we had to learn, not that we were born to. So this is a different generation, born to technology, and they embrace it with no difficulty. This generation is absolutely confident, practical, and result-oriented. Confident is how they describe themselves. And why are they confident? Because we, as teachers, parents, coaches, and other adults, have taught them that they are something special, that they can achieve everything they want to achieve, and they just have to believe it. So they want to achieve anything they propose. They're eager to do it. And these challenges include, obviously, learning a second language, learning how to play an instrument, for example. So they want everything to work perfectly. And this is one of the essential things when you present technology to these kind of students. Your technology has to work perfectly well. Your technology has to be like appealing to them, something that they really would like to use. Not just give them a tablet and start looking up for sites in internet, as we saw in the WebQuest seminar. They want things that are really engaging and that they work. And they need process to speed their interactions, and they need processes that speed the results. So this is quite important if you take into account how to design technology that will be used in the classroom, or how to pick technology that will be used in the classroom. This generation wants instant gratification and flexibility. They want everything now. They're impatient. They want results. They want to be prized by their teachers or coaches. They want to receive recognition, but they don't want to work too hard in it. They want to be doing this effortlessly. So what happens? They need flexibility in all the processes around them. What does that mean for us as English teachers? We need to be more and more flexible in our classes, change the way we give our classes, if we want to show them results. One of the biggest concerns of English students is that they actually don't learn English. They cannot produce. And this is why they go to your classes and they sit down and really get bored. You see them crossing their arms, you see them like looking elsewhere, you see them trying to get the phone to check out some things. So be careful. Be careful. You need to be flexible. You cannot put them in a box and do things exactly the same way all the time. You have to change things in order to show them that they're going to receive immediate result. This generation is marked as the most conscious generation of all times. This generation cares about the planet. This is what we see in our National Geographic Learning Series. We are teaching students to be long-term planet caretakers. They are responsible of making a better world. They have a sense of community. They understand about government issues. They understand about health issues. They understand about diversity problems. They understand about environmental problems. They are involved in everything that has to do with their community. So take advantage of this. Take advantage of this using technology. They are multitaskers and connected. Careful. This generation of students, Millennials and Generation Z, have a very short span of attention. They lose their interest quickly. And they want to be informed about everything. They want to get information from everywhere, especially from social networks. They want to have the information firsthand and informed. They learn about news around the world faster than we do because we are used to go to the newspaper or watch the news on TV at certain times. They are connected and they're social. So that is why teamwork and collaboration is their thing. Millennials are extremely team-oriented. They love to work in teams. So remember our WebQuest seminar? We were talking about WebQuest being a group task. When we were fostering learners' autonomy, we also talked about this is not an individual task. You still have to have the classroom as an environment. So here we're wrapping up that idea and showing that our students are extremely team-oriented and enjoy collaborating and building relationships. They like this. They like to be connected with one another. So how does education community see technology? These are very important figures. These are the figures that are going to convince you that you need to use technology in the classroom. 74% of students around the world think they would do better if they use technology in the classroom. And this is actually right. This actually has been proven. It has been tested that students that use technology in certain subjects have higher gains, higher grades. These subjects are mathematics, language, and arts, obviously, because these things are about content. Mathematics, of course, because technology goes with mathematics, mainly. All the technology, code, and language comes from math, so it's very common. And arts and languages, it's because of the content. 85% of students over 17 years old declared that education is the factor. And I stress the because it's the factor that they think is absolutely essential to achieve success. And they're willing to study. They want to study. I want to be successful. I need to study. So give me education technology tools. Give me technology to learn. Here you have to be very careful on what content you're going to use. Again, it is not about giving a student an iPad and saying, oh, there you go. There goes the technology. Right? It's not about that. It's about giving them the right content and being supported by technology. 60% of Latin millennials, that is our side of the planet, said they use their devices, being a smartphone or tablets, for research and education. And these figures are very important. 80% of the students around Latin America, in Colombia it's a bit higher, more or less it's almost 91%, own a smartphone, and 45% own a tablet. So when you're concerned about, we don't have the resources to do things with technology, you have actually the resources. You have smartphones and tablets from students, and they're more than willing to use them in class. Believe me, they are. 51% of teachers around the globe are already using education technology in classroom. So are you part of that 51%? Yes? Let me see if we have any questions right here. Yes, yes, Miguel says yes. So are we part of that 51% or are we not part of that 51%? What do you say, Miguel? Are you part of that 51%? And Omar, who's with us from Ecuador, are you part of that 51%? I think so, yes, obviously. Okay, so let's continue with our screen sharing here. Miguel says, I cannot see the chat. I don't know why, but let me see if no, I cannot see the chat. It's very strange, but I cannot see the chat. Very good. So let's continue with our presentation. Do you see the screen? So technology has changed the way we communicate with students. Technology has actually changed our lives. You remember when we were young and free and we didn't use cell phones and we had a lot of free time to actually go and have a coffee with our friends. Now we're in the age of cell phones, of mobility, of technology, and we cannot think of a life without technology. We cannot think about things we can't do without using technology. Cell phones, computers, for example. We can talk about the internet. We can talk about the new smart TVs. And every day we have advances in technology. So technology has actually changed the way we communicate with students. We don't have any more office hours, or if we have it, they're very short. And now we communicate with students through email. We communicate with students through platforms. We communicate with students through WhatsApp. We communicate with students through a lot of media. iCloud sharing, I don't know. There are a lot of things. There's these school platforms like Cibercolegios, for example, in Colombia, where you have everything you need to know about your courses, your assignments, etc., etc. They are very useful, very, very useful. So basically, we have to start pacing up with how to communicate with students faster and easier. So are you in or are you out of the technology use? These are facts and figures to think about. 42 million messages sent daily in WhatsApp. More than 1,000 million active monthly users. 1,600 million pictures sent daily through WhatsApp. More than 1,000 million groups created in WhatsApp, where 250 million videos are sent daily. Are we in or are we out of the trend? We share information now via email. We cloud share, we video share, we send files through Dropbox, through WeTransfer. There's a lot of different ways to share information. We have teaching content and tools that are not limited only to text and pictures. Do you remember that time when you were young teachers and the best thing you could do was to bring to classroom a video or a picture? That was like the highlight of the day. That was the highlight of the day. So you are using more support tools than that. You have the internet, that is the source of the content for both students and teachers. You have multimedia tools, you have applications, you have online platforms. Now technology has changed the way we use books and textbooks. Now we use ebooks, online platforms, and even more. And even more. So we need to take advantage of this. We need to use the tools we have at hand to make a better learning environment for students. Classes that incorporate technology have much better interaction between students. Students perform better because they feel more confident in their results. They feel more comfortable to contribute because we're changing how the classroom looks. So, how to manage a classroom with millennial students that are used to technology? So the first thing is to have practical application. You need to show the students how they can apply immediately the results of their work in the English classroom. Remember, millennials want results now. I want to see what I'm learning and that I can use it. So when you design activities, you have to design activities that show them how to apply the language in real settings, in real world settings and situations and contexts. So you can design activities using web quests, for example, where they have to have a practical application and then show it to their peers. This is the way they see I am doing something in this classroom. Number two, we've talked about this all the time in the 3 workshops, in the 3 webinars. Create a student-centered environment. A student-centered environment is absolutely important. You have to set aside your goals as a teacher, and you have to put the student needs before. What do my students need? They need to produce. So how do they produce? They need to participate. How do they participate? They need to have an adequate teaching and learning environment. When you create a student-centered environment, remember, students do most of the talking. You are just a guide. You are the captain of the ship. Number 3 is to incorporate interests. And how do we incorporate interests? Again, WebQuest is the perfect tool for this. You can start seeing what kind of topics do students like, what kind of issues they're being moved by. Is it current issues, news, etc.? Or is it music? Or is it food? What are we doing? Listen to conversations of the students to know what can interest them and how to incorporate this with the class. If they're interested in using cell phones, try to obtain some activities using the cell phone. That would be very useful. Number 4 is display your students' work. Remember, millennials like instant gratification. They like to be showcased. They like to be recognized that they're doing everything right, that they're confident, but they need that reassurance from you that they're doing their work well. So display the work, do activities, show, I don't know, make an English day to show the rest of the school what the English class is all about. The 6th graders are very, very bilingual, for example. So show the rest of the school how bilingual they are. Make spelling bees, I don't know. Use all the activities in hand so you can display the work of the students. Make them good citizens and with a global perspective. For this, you have more than enough tools. First of all, you have your National Geographic books, of course, and then you have all the internet. Start talking to them about very important issues. Pollution, for example, diversity in schools, the peace process here in Colombia, things that really make them get an opinion. Remember, we're trying to foster critical thinking. We're trying to foster 21st century skills. We're going to review them in a little while. So when we're trying to foster 21st century skills, we want students to be good citizens. And we start helping them through the English activities in class and through technology. We start helping them make adequate decisions. The other day in a workshop, I asked, what are the issues of using technology? And somebody answered safety. And it was one of the best answers I ever heard. Safety in all senses. Students have to make ethical decisions about the use of the internet. So we as teachers need to help them make those ethical decisions, reach the argument that is going to make them take an ethical decision. And when you talk about global perspective, we're talking about mixing the students with different cultures. They don't have to go actually on an interchange and go to, I don't know, Japan, and we want to learn about Japan's culture, or go to Canada, etc. We can do this nowadays through technology and bring that global perspective with bonding topics that are common for every culture. For example, food. It's a very interesting topic to use, and you can search a lot of interesting recipes in the internet. You can use music, and music obviously brings people together, come together of the Beatles, you must remember. So we need to use these bonding topics to make them know that they are part of a bigger community, a part of a global society. And they're going to be more than glad that you are showing them this. Okay? Also, and we talked about this when we talk about WebQuest and fostering learners' environment, don't be predictable and plan your lessons. You need to plan your lessons. You need to be absolutely certain that what you're doing has an objective, it has some north to where you're going. Students are like dogs, you know? Dogs smell fear. Students smell improvisation. Students know when a teacher is just memorizing a textbook. Students know when a teacher is not preparing a lesson. So you cannot let them smell that improvisation. You need to show them that you have everything under control. And don't be predictable. Remember, flexibility is something millennials appreciate. They like it. So when you make lessons and classrooms not predictable by the different use of technology, you're going to have them getting better results, being more motivated, and getting better grades. They're going to love it, and they're going to appreciate it, and they're going to work harder every time. And last but not least, what you need to know is your students. You need to get to know them really well. What do they like? How do they click? With what do they engage? Because if you don't do it, you're going to have the crossed arms and the boring face all the time. But when you learn what makes them engage, you have them in your pocket. Simon Sinek, one of the most famous TED speakers, says that the way of engaging people is to have a passion, and you have already a passion. You have the passion of educating, you have the passion to teach, and knowing about what you're talking. And here you have to show your students that you know what you're talking about. If you're going to use certain topics to engage them, such as music, you have to know about the music they like. Don't engage them with, I'm going to put an example, I don't know if I'm too old, but don't put Wilfrido Vargas. They're not going to engage with Wilfrido Vargas. I will, obviously, because it was like in my time, we danced to Wilfrido Vargas tunes. But students nowadays, they don't even know who Wilfrido Vargas is. So they're going to look at you like, what? Teacher, what are you talking about? But if you talk to a couple of girls in your school and ask them about One Direction, they're going to flip. They're going to say, wow, yes, I love Harry Styles. I love Zayn Malik. I don't know why he left, etc. They're going to start talking. And even if they don't have all the abilities and the tools and the skills to communicate perfectly in English, they're going to try, which is ultimately what we want from students. We need students to try to communicate and lose that fear of making mistakes. So these are the 7 tips for millennial classroom management using technology. But remember we said millennials were social, that they were all the time in social networks. So how about teaching with social networks? Social networks are very important for them, but sometimes we as teachers think we know about social networks, but we really don't. For example, if I ask you, what is the most common social network in teens and people starting college? Most of the teachers that I ask this question to, they answer Facebook. Another percentage answers Instagram. A very small percentage answers Twitter. But a 0.00001 answers that they like Snapchat. And Snapchat is actually the favorite platform of the students. Snapchat is the favorite platform, and Snapchat is actually not a social media site. Snapchat is a storytelling site. Let me see, we have a question here. There you go. Miguel says Instagram, you see? Instagram, it's not Instagram. You see, Miguel, this is what happens when we talk about social networks. Snapchat is actually the favorite social media platform for teenagers these days. But as I was telling you, Snapchat is a storytelling site, not a social network. And we can definitely use storytelling in our classrooms. Storytelling is part of the essential English teaching and learning. So why not use Snapchat as a tool to generate small 10-second stories, which is the objective of Snapchat, and students start telling their peers about something that happened to them last night. For example, what did my mother make for dinner? And they can tell in 10 seconds. Snapchat is actually that. You have snaps that you can share. That is why it's Snapchat. You can share it with your peers, and you have 10 seconds to say or do, or you can take pictures. If Snapchat wasn't useful, I don't think ABC would be using Snapchat. I don't think CNN would be using Snapchat. And I don't think President Obama would be using Snapchat. And I don't think that the First Lady of the US would be using Snapchat to promote a girls' protection program of the United States. It is actually a very important tool. The thing is that teenagers that have not been mentored, that have not been educated by their teachers, got the first use they had and start sending stupid things. But we can use it for a better purpose. So, how to use social media in the classroom? Remember that 98% of undergraduate students own or have access to a computer. And this is essential. So there you can access social networks. 92% of undergraduate students are wireless, laptop, or cell users. Okay? So they have the information and the social networks on the go. Digital natives are native speakers of the digital language of computer, video games, and the internet. What social media tools do we have? We have Google+, Skype, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, Instagram, Snapchat. Well, you have a lot. Periscope, for example, which is very useful. Now we have Facebook Live. We have, well, a lot of social networking sites. Look at the stats. 19 to 29-year-old. 89% of them use social media. Incredible. And if we go below 18, from 14 to 18, which is the legal age to start using social media, 14, of course, you're going to find a higher rate. It goes up to almost 95%. And look at the 30 to 49 years old, 78%. So yes, we're being beat by the millennials using social media. So if we take into account that our millennials are digital literate, connected, immediate, social, they like teams, they like structure, they are visual, and they care about things that matter, we can use social media very easily. For example, we can create a Facebook group of our classroom where we're going to put pictures, We're going to comment. We're going to put announcements. We're going to put homeworks. We can share files. We can do a lot of things for that Facebook group. This works evidently for students with an age higher than 14 years old. Facebook legal terms prohibit the use of Facebook to kids under 14. So do not do this with small kids. This is for teenagers and girls and boys that are up of 14 years old. Twitter timeline. You can use Twitter timeline to start teaching students to get a global perspective. You can teach them to follow influencers, good influencers that have something to tell, something that we can share. Then we have also the YouTube videos. Now all the kids want to be YouTubers because they think it's easy and it gets them a lot of money. But actually, you can teach them that you can use YouTube as an instructional tool. You can use YouTube to see how they're working their English pronunciation, their English fluency and rhythm, for example. You can share tutorials, you can share grammar instruction, you can share a lot of things using YouTube videos. You can create a channel for your classroom, for example, or a playlist for your classroom and use interesting videos, TED Talks. You can use, I don't know, songs, karaoke, things like that to be used as a tool in classroom. So there you go. You can use YouTube for a higher purpose than just watching people make fools out of themselves. Blogs. For me, this is one of the most interesting technological tools you can use in the social media age. You can start making a classroom blog written by you, but you can start asking for contributions to that blog from students. Eventually, you can have a contest with the students to give a prize, remember recognition in millennials, to give a prize to the blog that has the best structure, the blog that is better written, the blog that looks really great. This is a writing exercise, and it would be very, very useful. Then we have Snapchat storytelling. We have Periscope, for example, live transmissions. You can transmit live a class and show the rest of the world or the rest of the school or the rest of whoever you set up to watch your channels or your profiles. You can show them how does a class go on. If you have a special activity, you can broadcast it live and show kids from around the world how we learn English in Colombia. What about that? That would be absolutely interesting. So what are the new trends and approaches that we have in teaching English with technology? Well, first of all, we have obviously what we were talking about, the increasing use of ebooks and interactive textbooks. Physical books are not going to disappear, but they're going to be even more widely used by students because it's going to be easier for them to have their books where they can access information easily. Another trend that we were seeing is the development of apps to learn English. And there are zillion apps to learn English. There are the good ones, the regular ones, the bad ones, but there are some that are very useful. For example, there's an app where you can learn the irregular verbs. So we forget about that famous list. We forget about memorizing this, and we use the app to play, to write in context, to use in context irregular verbs, and start learning them. And you can compete. For example, if you share it with a partner, you can compete among each other to get the best use of the irregular verbs. It's very interesting. So that is one of the new trends and approaches we have. The other trend and approaches we have is obviously the use of platforms, online platforms. The objective of online platforms is to self-practice or assess. Those are the two main objectives when you use a platform. Self-practice or, for example, assess, make evaluations, make quizzes to your students. So we have a new trend going on there. We are using more and more platforms to save time, to save the teacher's time, and stop designing quizzes, stop doing manual grading, and using the platforms for this. So it's very, very important to know how to use those online platforms. We have the use of web quests. We already talked about web quests. We have the use of different social networks. And we have the use of a new academic approach, which is called the motivational approach. What is a motivational approach? The motivational approach is to identify what is the reason why a person is sitting down in your classroom. Why are they learning English? And when you identify that learning English, you design the class to complement that motivation, that reason why I'm learning English. So if you have students that are, I'm learning English because I have to, because it's a school subject, make it easier for them using technology, using a good application, suggesting them games, suggesting them things to do, making a real cool web quiz. That would be absolutely appealing for our students. Are there concerns? Of course there are concerns, definitely. Basically, concerns are related to resources. Concerns are related to the time that you have as teachers to investigate and to look up things, to prepare things. Concerns are related to, is my school going to allow using these tools in a classroom? Can I change a little bit the curriculum to promote this kind of use? Other concerns are related to, well, if we're going to use technology, I'm no longer a teacher. The students are going to get control of the class and they're going to do whatever they want. But there's no need to worry that much. Of course, in every part of change, we're going to have concerns. Definitely. That's normal. Change brings impact, right? So when we generate impact, of course, we must have concerns. But as I tell you, you don't need to worry that much. With technology, the students still get you as a teacher. With technology, you're still in charge of the classroom. What you're doing with technology is teaching them how to use it smartly. Remember, it's not about handing iPads or computers. Sit down in the multimedia lab and write a link and start looking. No, you're generating more than that. So you're still the captain of the ship. Remember, a ship can go everywhere or can go nowhere. It depends on the captain. So if you want your classroom to go everywhere and have a great English classroom, you need to be the captain of the ship and organize the itinerary that the students are going to use, planning your lessons. All right? Regarding resources, as I tell you, 80% of the students in Colombia, more, 92% of the students have smartphones and cell phones. Use it in class. Now, if you have a school that doesn't allow the use of technology, you can propose to your directors, bring your own device day, just for one day, and explain to them what is the objective of using the cell phone in class, and being very clear, being very specific, why are you bringing the devices to your classroom? Not because we're going to let the students do whatever they want. No, we're going to guide them and we're teaching them. And you have to tell your directors this, for example. You have to be very careful about, again, what tools are you going to use and what students are going to use these tools. Not every student can use some tools. You cannot give access to students in certain sites. So be careful with that. But you're still there. You're still the teacher. You're still the teacher because you need to teach the students. Remember the 4 C's that we have in 21st century skills? The 4 C's that lead to success: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. But we also need to teach them other soft skills such as self-awareness, management, influencing, leadership. You need to work on these skills and show them that you're going to help them be successful in life, not only in the English classroom, in other classrooms, and in general in their life. You're preparing them to be professionals in the future. So to wrap this workshop up, we're going to have the 6 reasons why we need to change our mindset. We need to get out of the comfort zone, because this is getting out of the comfort zone. This is definitely what you need to talk to your students about, new technologies and new uses in an English classroom. We have to be thinking outside of the box. So the first reason, we are making digital citizens. We are mentoring those digital citizens. So we have a big responsibility with the world. Reason 2, We will help our students develop skills to be successful not only in English, but life. Reason 3, by introducing technology, we help students to become critical thinkers. Reason 4, we help them become responsible. Reason 5, we make it easier to learn a new and needed language. And reason 6, we contribute to improve teaching environments to get better results. This is why we change our mindset, we go out of the comfort zone, and we start using technology to make a better classroom environment for all our students. So thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to engage with you once again today. I'm going to close my presentation and I'm going to start taking questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need. Hi, we're here. So Miguel is giving us 2 questions here. How to raise confidence among teachers to give technology a try in their lessons. One of the answers, Miguel, to that question is show teachers how technology contributes in saving time and resources. Sometimes they think they're going to have to waste more time, or that technology is a burden that adds up to the already big academic charge that you have. So, for example, you need to show them how they stop taking papers to their houses and start grading automatically. You need to show them how, by sending a simple message through a platform, you can inform all the students instead of using an agenda to write down homeworks. And of course, you need to start taking baby steps. This is about taking baby steps with teachers that are not even digital immigrants. This is kind of easy when we have teachers that are digital immigrants, but when we have teachers that are not really used to, we have to do a greater job, but you have to do it baby steps. Don't make them use a platform because it's in the curriculum and the teacher doesn't even know how to use a platform. This is going to generate shock for the teacher and consequently shock for the classroom. So when you have those kind of teachers, please take them baby steps and start assigning small things that they can do in the platform so they gain a little bit more of confidence. Question number 2. What to do in those contexts in which resources are not enough to afford technology? Some people say nothing, but is that really the answer? Or are there some other ideas said in this English teaching field? Okay, so I was telling you that we have the penetration of smartphones and tablets and devices. So let's try to use those devices in our favor when we don't have actually the resources. When we don't have a real good internet connection, most of the students have a data plan. Even though they can't afford it, they usually make their parents buy them a data plan or a prepaid data plan so they can access their interests. So remember that they want to get educated. They want to be successful in life. So definitely we want to help them do that, and we're going to use the resources and they're going to lend them very eagerly. So we don't need actually to have a dozen computers. If we don't have them, okay. If we don't have internet connection, well, we have the data plans and we can do small activities. In their houses, there will be more than using internet. 98% of people have an internet connection. So if you cannot use it in the classroom, start using technology in homes. So they can access things from home and bring it to the classroom to engage. Okay? Any other questions for this? Do we have any more questions, suggestions from the other workshops that you want to share with us? Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, this would be the end of our workshops for Betlemitas. We're going to have the workshops in the YouTube channel, available for you guys at any time to see the three of them and review, revise, and relearn what you have seen here. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, we'll say goodbye and see you in another time.